All right, what's up, gentlemen? Hey, hope you guys are having a great day. Appreciate you all watching this video. Definitely make sure to take some notes. I'm going to keep it as concise as possible, and I'm going to also just kind of overview like what I want to show you right now. Write down your questions, then we can talk about these. We can figure out like where it's relevant and where it can plug into your businesses. But we're going to go through a lot. This is usually what I would do because I don't want to just throw a bunch of AI tools at you. I'd rather prescribe, say, okay, well, what AI tools are you already using? What bottlenecks are you preventing you from scaling? What repetitive tasks need to be getting done every day or week? And what are the energy sucks? Maybe things that you're doing that you just don't enjoy doing. So after I found out the answer to these questions, I would typically diagnose and prescribe like, hey, I recommend these 5 AI tools or these 3. So I'm just going to go generally over like some of my top favorites that I think will be relevant. But yeah, feel free to take notes, ask any questions you got, and then yeah, we'll dive in. So Manus is going to be what's called an AI agent. So this one's an adaptive AI agent. You got the more complex ones, which kind of look like something like this, where it is a formula. There's a trigger that happens. It puts it into ChatGPT. It says, based on this, is it true, false? Is it a manager? Boom, add them to this Slack channel. This is more if you were onboarding a new employee rather than going through this onboarding process or having your EA do it. It could run that through. It'll have a memory model so it can remember previous conversations you've had, so you don't have to like manually do things each time. Like the goal for this is to like remember as it's being used what you like to use it for, so that it has a memory base, it has a model on how it collects, creates, and stores information. And I could get into all this other stuff, but that might be a little complicated. But there's lots of different workflows. This is a systematic AI agent. These ones are hands down going to be one of the most powerful ones you can use. They're more complex, but they're so much more scalable. They're going to run the same play over and over, just like you would systemize an SOP for your business. You could systemize that specific SOP within an AI agent so that it runs that SOP the same way every time. This one, for example, would be a customer support bot, where it goes and accesses when a message is received. It collects data from, you would have a Google Doc or a spreadsheet or something where there's information about your company, frequently asked questions, whatever it is. It would prepare the prompt based on what we program it to prepare, runs it in a ChatGPT, also through Google Gemini, its memory. You would schedule times and stuff, like if you don't want that message to show up right away and you're like, hey, I don't want it to feel like it's AI, I want it to seem like it actually took a second and a human responded in like maybe 4 minutes or something. If you want to create a more human feeling experience, put it into Google Sheets, input information, anything that you guys need to know. I don't want to get too complex in it, but yeah, that's pretty much like what that is. And these things can do anything from like chat, email management, executive work, virtual assistant work. Like, dude, the sky's the limit. It really just comes down to deciding what you need, systemized and scaled, that you want to reduce hours. Like maybe somebody's doing something on your team that is just way too repetitive, and you're like, rather than me paying $20 an hour over the month for 40 hours, you could be saving tens of thousands of dollars with something that AI can do faster and better and more streamlined and make less mistakes because you programmed each step of the way so that it does it exactly the same way each time. And then you could even generate AI viral videos using C Dance, TikTok. It'll upload to all these platforms. Like you'll have your trigger, of course, which is like, boom, okay, I'm going to run this daily. You decide, I want this to run daily, or I want this to run weekly for a weekly YouTube, whatever you want. You would feed it information that makes it customized to you, your voice, what you do, and that would maybe include giving it a YouTube video or giving it your company website, whatever. We want to train it to sound like you, speak like you, have your tone, your same mission, all that stuff. And then it puts it through all the agents, it goes, creates the content, boom, it generates the sounds. There's lots of different types of content, so this is just one type of content, but you could create about, like, based off what I'm learning is there's like 7 pieces of content that most people create, and there's 7 different workflows you'd want to create for that. So that's systematic AI agents. I don't recommend you guys jumping into that until you guys are like ready to like get into the nitty gritty of your business and operations, because that's where this gets nitty gritty. But once it's set up, it's like scaled, it's systemized, it's running, it's going, and it's not making mistakes. So that's a systematic. Now we're going to talk about an adaptive AI agent. So adaptive AI agent, this is where it gets really exciting, because rather than me setting up this super complex web or trigger flow, now what we're doing is we're entering a prompt. And I'll give you a couple use cases of how I've used this. For example, I've used it to create YouTube thumbnails, generate titles. I could be like, hey, please create 3 titles exactly in this style, because I took it from a popular video that had some popularity, and I said instead make it say this, and then boom, it goes and it pumps out examples, so it can go and do graphic design for you that replaces a graphic designer. If you can find like a popular Alex Hormozy thumbnail, you're like, boom, here's the thumbnail, mimic this style, boom, drop an image of yourself so that it swaps out the image, it makes a similar style, it uses the text that you want, and it'll create YouTube thumbnails for you too. We just did this for Chris Powell, where it said, I want you to create a graphic image, because he was going into Canva and doing this manually. And if you don't know what Canva is, it's basically a graphic design website where you'd have to go in, and it's still a great website, but you have to build everything, and you could template stuff, but why? It's even faster than a template. Rather than me going in and typing and replacing an image or whatever, I can just go in here and I could give it something that I've done, or in a separate circumstance, I could say, hey, I want you to actually go and research the most popular carousel styles for social media, like the prompt up here. Please turn this into a carousel. Like, I basically screenshotted some Bible verses that I got from ChatGPT. I was like, oh, I love these. And I was like, turn these into, 5 slides to create a carousel. Make it so each verse is a slide. Then you do, and then it goes and it codes everything. You can watch it live. I'll show you in a second why this is so crazy, but it'll go and create graphic designs for you, 5 Bible verses that hit different. It even came up with the hook of the first slide. And if I wanted it branded to me, I could give it a company logo or a profile picture, and it would do that as well, which is super cool. And I'm the one who said I want it to be black, gold, and white. So I chose the theme. I chose all the details of it. In another situation, and I'll actually do one for you so that you can see how it works, but I had another company, and they're building out this pitch deck for investors. And so what they wanted me to do, they gave me the website, and they gave me some like inspiration and just a little bit of context about what their company was like. I gave them the website. I said, I want you to do this. Turned it into a whole slide deck. It branded it. It took their colors. It brought up each module, and it broke it down into step-by-step slides. I was like, hey, build a website called AI Academy on how to transform AI. It built out a website, solutions, about section, pricing, all that stuff. What else did we build out? I said, turn Atomic Habits into a carousel. And I gave it like a little bit of context about it, because I basically, in a previous chat, I said, create a mind map of the book Manus. And then I was like, this is so cool. I said, turn this into a carousel now. And then after it did all this stuff, it like will do everything. It has its own computer screen. It went and created a mind map of each major takeaway of the book Atomic Habits, which I honestly didn't even plan to post. I really just wanted to look at it and see the visual explanation behind each tip. So it created all of these from scratch, literally no follow-up prompts. Like, first go, it did amazing, and it attached a design to it. But I also said create it based on the most popular visual carousels. So yeah, it did that. What I could do is I could give it something like Kindly Pest, or I could go on acquisitions.com. Acquisitions.com, like Alex Hormozy's. I know I butchered that, but I could go on acquisitions.com and I could say, hey, I want you to copy this website by Alex Hormozy. I want you to mimic this funnel and create me another funnel. And I would just give it the funnel. But let me just show you a really quick use case. And we'll do something for market research. And again, you could use this for really anything under the sun. I'm just showing some tangible examples right now, but I could take this website and I could say, do research. Let me type out the prompt and then I'll show you guys. So boom, do some research on this website. Boom, copy, paste, kindly, and then do some research on Alex Hormozy's most successful marketing techniques for a funnel, and provide some better copy to use on this website based on the information you find. I don't even need to correct the spelling errors. It'll put that together and understand what I want. That would help us close more deals through the site. And so what you would do is you would put it in agent mode, which is now going to have it go and do research, and you could choose speed or quality. I just go with speed. I usually get a good result each time, and you hit enter, and then here's what happens. And again, whether it's creating content, creating videos, creating graphics, creating websites, creating presentations, doing market research, saying what are the best stocks, give me it in a graph form that I should invest in. It could do like almost, like, I haven't been able to find something it can't do. It could even log into your email. So it's going to open up its own computer so that you can see what it's doing live, and it's hands-free. So I'm not doing anything, and it's telling you, here's what I'm doing. And it says like what my plan is. And if at any point you need to interrupt it and you're like, oh, also check this website, and I could give it another website. And as you can see, it's also going and it's researching everything on Alex Hormozy, and it's going to go and like check out some videos. It's going to go do basically all types of stuff. So we're going to leave this, set it and forget it, but it's going to go and just do stuff for you. So no integrations, no workflows, no systematized AI agents. It's going to adapt. That's why it's called an adaptive AI agent, because it's going to adapt based on what you need it to do. It's going to adapt. It's like, okay, I'm going to go here, I'm going to go here, I'm going to go here. It's going to go do a bunch of different stuff. So right now what it's doing is it's researching how Alex Hormozi made a $100 million funnel. So it went and looked that up. It started watching the video. So we're going to circle back to that because it's going to go and do its thing. It might take like 20 minutes or whatever. I want to show you some other tools in the meantime, but man, it's super crazy. You definitely want to check this one out. Claude. Start using this more instead of ChatGPT. Unless you need to create like content, I would suggest using Claude all the time instead of ChatGPT when it comes to creating a market plan. I can go and let me pause and show you some previous things I did with it as use cases. So you can use the deep research button, and this will be like, it took 7 minutes to give me a response because I wanted to hit this research button. So if you're looking for marketing plans, you're like, hey, who's the most successful person in my space? Go and study them, copy their tactics, make it better. I said, do some deep research on what makes a YouTube title and YouTube title thumbnail successful, then give me it in bullet point format, simple and concise, for the purpose of creating a custom GPT. I basically told it what I wanted to do, and I said use Alex Hormozi as inspiration and any other big YouTube channels about business, entrepreneur, and mindset. It'll be even more effective if you tell it specifically who you're trying to emulate. So then it went and went and searched all these resources, and then it was like, boom, here's what I searched. And then the next thing is it said, boom, here are all of the facts. You want to use the challenge format. I survived blank with blank. You won't believe what happened when this event happened. So it gave me actual examples of how I could do it, showed kind of the patterns behind him, Mr. Beast. It's just going to collect information. It's going to be way more detailed. It's going to give you citations or references to prove that it's not just making up information, because ChatGPT so often will give you false information, and it's really frustrating, and you can't trust it as a copywriter because you have to check for spelling and misinformation. This is going to be 20,000 times more effective, more reliable, and it's going to be way more in depth on the research that you want to know. So this one's amazing. Let's just like peek back at so yeah, and then it compiled some market research. So if I wanted, I could have it turn this into a graph for me. I could be like, hey, turn this into a PowerPoint presentation to pitch to my marketing team. And you can ask as many follow-up questions as you have. It went and created the Kindly website analysis, current messaging. Here's what it observed, improved website copy. So then it did this. It's like, here's a Grand Slam offer and an unbeatable guarantee. So it gave some headlines. Phoenix's only pest control with the pest-free home or your money back. Plus we pay for a competitive, like it's just going all in on all this stuff. So I'd review this. And if you want, you like say, hey, simplify this. I want you to give me the top 20% cream of the crop of what you just provided me and simplify if you want to read it faster, or make this readable in 2 minutes or less. And then it can give you that information even more condensed. And then if you love it, then you go back to the original and you're like, okay, let's go more in depth. I like what it just said. If you want to get through this stuff faster, just tell it you want it faster and more concise, or to expand on it if it needs to. And then just also circle back on this as it was building this out. It started turning that information into a slide. So it was like, hey, here's your current website analysis. This is generic. It lacks specificity based on Alex Hormozi's most popular marketing principles. Talked about Grand Slam offers, like a current guarantee versus improved guarantee, why this works, expected impact. It'll kind of give you some data there as well. Give some new headlines that you could use, and yeah, so it'll keep going in depth, and it'll create really anything that you can think about, which is just insane. This one's going to be the bread and butter of leading the AI revolution. It's just more complicated. I don't want to go too in depth on that. I kind of already showed you guys some sneak peeks of what those look like, but that one's hands down going to be the most valuable one. Like, I know guys charging like $5K just to set up workflows for each operational part of their business because of how effective and scalable it is. So we're not going to go too in depth on that because there's a lot to set up, and I need to know more about your business to show more practical examples of where it's relevant. Sequence. This one's super dope. So if you want to automate finances, you want to use Sequence. Sequence is super cheap. It's like $20 a month. You can automate finances. Okay, I have my 2 different bank accounts. This is the pay yourself first model. I could program it so I'm like, okay, I want you to transfer 5% into my profits account. I want you to transfer 15% into taxes. I want you to transfer this much into the owner's pay, like transfer, and you could set rules. So only transfer 50% if there's over 10 grand left. If not, do this instead. Like you could program those rules and then it could go into here first. And then based on that, it'll be like, okay, at 12 a.m. on day one of the month, transfer 20%, 25%, because I know that I'm going to be getting XYZ amount on that day. And then it'll transfer to the business debt department. And then that's where you can also hook up your credit cards and you could say, hey, I want you to pay off the next minimum balance towards this credit card. And then I want you to pay on incoming funds, pay off the next payment minimum on this one. And so you could set rules or like, hey, pay the minimum payment plus an extra $100 because I want to get ahead. Or let's say this one finally gets paid off. And you're like, okay, I was already paying $100 a month towards that. So I could set this rule of based on what is left in this credit card, and I could like hook these up, pay an extra whatever amount based on what you were paying to this one previously that's already paid off. So now you could have it do the debt snowball on automation. Or let's say you want to do the 5-30-20 budget, which is a very famous financial type of budget. And when you get financial advisors coaching on how to spend, you could boom, 30% transfer into my wants. You know, I want 20% transfer into my savings for my needs. I want the other 50%. And then based on that, I want at 12 a.m., the last day of the month, to round down to zero. Whatever amount is left, round down to zero, and then take all that amount and transfer it into this credit card. And you just set all these rules. So I could go into this in a million different ways, but you know, you could hook up as many bank accounts as you want. It'll create sub accounts, so you can have sub bank accounts if you want. You could have it transfer into all these different types of things. So it pretty much just automates your finances. You can even hook up, if you have a Roth IRA or a Fidelity account like I can, I'll have it transfer 10% every time I get paid from X account, transfer 10% into my Roth until it maxes out at 7,000, and then start transferring out, because you can only put 7,000 in at a time for the year. After that maxes out at 7,000 for the year, start putting in the extra amounts, extra 10% amount that you were into these other accounts. So I could go on forever. There's so many different ways to use this. So I would recommend creating that one as well. Another big one that I'd highly recommend, this is maybe not everyday practical use, but if you guys are ever trying to create an app experience, because customer experience is everything, and if you could find a way to gamify a customer experience or make it more fun or exciting, this is more for an educational platform if you guys ever wanted to create something. But I just did a prompt, I gave it a Google Doc with my business plan, and I basically just said, hey, create an app. I want an app, and I want you to gamify the experience. I just gave it context from my business, and it created the dashboard, you know, and it gamified the experience. You know, when you go through the courses and you finish a course, you're going to have XP that you earn. So we're gamifying it so that we have a leadership board where people win prizes. We have weekly drops. So if we have automations that you could just plug and play into your business, boom, you can unlock that. But you got to go through the information first, because I don't want you just going and not knowing what to do with it. Like, actually do X first, you know what I mean? Or prompt library. Here's the 20 proven email automation prompts that convert leads into X, Y, and Z, you know what I mean? And then you have like the community. This is where everybody would engage. So it built this app on automation. So this one's super freaking awesome. And I didn't have to pay $1 to build this. I don't think you have to pay until you start like setting up more officialized hosting areas where this is going to live. But this one, highly recommend checking this one out. What else we got for you? Then we got Delphi.ai. This one's going to be really big, especially if you need a chatbot automated. Now you can create one of these using N8N, which is like that automated AI agent website that I showed you. My client Hannah Hammond uses this one. She has a pre-built one, so you can like text it. She's programmed it. You give it Google Documents, any documents you have on your business plan. It'll keep all this stuff confidential. You give it your website, you give it your YouTube channel for your podcast episodes, and it's going to start consuming all the information to learn what your brand voice is, what's your tone, how do you actually speak to people, not this streamlined like, oh, let me just answer generic questions. Like, it's going to speak like you speak, and there's even a voice feature where it will clone your voice and it'll sound like it's talking to you. So that one's cool. You can use this one for free, but if you want the voice feature and a little bit more training material, like I can upload like, you know, 1 million or I think like 10,000 words on the free version to train it. And then if you want the upgraded version, which is like 100 a month, you can upload up to like 1 million different words to train it, which obviously is going to result in a way better AI model customer support. So this just saves a lot of time versus answering all the generic questions. And even for your team members, like if you've programmed it and you have all these podcasts, all this information, all these training modules, like, dude, just give it to this. That way, not only your customers can go and use this, but your team, when they're asking you the same redundant questions, you're like, come on, go use the Delphi. Like, it's going to answer those questions. It knows the answers to it. It's going to save you time. You don't have to set up a call with me. So that'll also save you time on unnecessary meetings that could have been accomplished through a Delphi chat, or, you know, a meeting that could have been in email situations. You know what I mean? So that's another one I'd highly recommend using. So Google VO3, I already recommended that one. I'm going to show you like 3 videos we created using Google VO3. these are extremely, extremely effective in ads if you're directing them the right way. I'll show you 3 different examples. We've created full-length videos using Google VO3, and our clients using it are getting like the most insane return on ad spend, like I told you earlier. One of my clients who's a marketing agency, he has an ad with Bigfoot in it because it's just a trending thing right now. And out of every single ad, this is his lowest CPL out of hundreds of K of ad spend that he's doing. So I'll show you some examples of what that looks like as well. These are like little AI videos. So this is the one that's getting like a massive conversion rate. So I'll show you what this looks like. Play this video. So I don't know if the sound is playing. For the sake of not just playing it out, I'll just attach this to the text message so that you guys can see, and I'll just leave a note like, hey, these are mentioned later in the video, just watch them whenever you're ready. This is one video, so these are all different videos. I'll just kind of skim through. Like, we're having Bigfoot talk. We got DoorDash guy saying, hey, this is cheaper than a DoorDash order. You know, we got all the graphics demonstrating the content, adding some comedy to it, you know, so that you don't have to do it at 2 a.m. all by yourself, because this is like ultimately promoting marketing and content services. And then, yeah, just is a bunch of different scenes of Bigfoot. Click the link below. Basically, you're just telling the story of like how much it sucks to create content. And we're using Bigfoot as our avatar, as a pattern disrupt, because he's just trending right now. You know, we're talking about right here, you know, this is cheaper than a DoorDash order, you know, like just trying to incorporate as many different pattern disrupts as possible, showing some of the content that they make, adding some comedy to it. Like, it's way better than you doing it all by yourself at 2 a.m., showing that we do it all for you, you know, showing how easy their life is after. And again, I'll send you the videos so you can actually watch them and see what they sound like and look like. Easily able to create sub versions of it, because all we have to do is swap out the first 5 seconds with a different clip, and then you have a whole different ad to test, which makes it even more convenient to split test 20 different ads versus recording a different scene in 20 different ads. Now we can create a drastically different scene in 20 different ads by having a single clip that's just 4 seconds long. The rest of the video is the same after this. It's just now we're able to split test to see, was it the hook, was it the video, because then the rest of the video is the same. It's just the hook that's different. And then we got the Dadbuilt commercial, which really showcases the power of being able to create actual AI videos with humans. And of course the quality looks horrible right now because it's rendering. I'll send you the video link, but this video is to show the mission and the story behind Dadbuilt, which is to be the dad that you wish you had. And so it's showing the journey of a dad growing up and watching their kid grow up. We inserted the hat using AI, and again, these people are AI as well, just to, you know, plant it at random spots without it making it super obvious. You know, we got the hat right here. All we had to do was give it an image showing him get married, you know, looking back on the treehouse they built earlier in the earlier part of the video. Put your logo in the video, put your logo on the wall, have this truck driving by, give it an image of your logo, and have it look like you have your logo on billboards, buildings. Like, the sky's the limit on this. Like, every part of this is AI generated, and just showing all the way until the end of his lifetime, where we see tombstone that says best dad ever, and it has the Dadbuilt hat, just to kind of tie or put a cherry on top. And then if we go to a completely different style video, and again, I just want to show you what Google VO3 can do, because this is crazy. Like, this was not possible 3 months ago. This was actually impossible 3 months ago, and the generations looked horrible.
Unfortunately,
and so this one's more of a corporate video, just showing like the problem behind cybersecurity and storing your information on the cloud, because even this is kind of like starting with the pain points. We even created a fake news anchor scene and showed the actual events that happened, where Apple, CrowdStrike, and Google all got hacked and breached. And so we tied these in to the beginning of the video to really emphasize the pain points. Here's why you would want this service. And now we go into the solution, creates all the transitions. Again, I'll send you these videos, the struggle, showing animations. Like, dude, this used to require like some crazy editing softwares to even make visuals like this happen. And so we're pretty much showing the story behind why this is the solution to safely storing your things using the right types of cybersecurity. Because if Google, Apple, and CrowdStrike got hacked, then that means you're vulnerable using them right now. And so they're just providing an ultimate solution, creating all the visuals, storyboard it. This has been a very popular service, as people have been wanting, and you can even throw the logo in there. Like, there's no limits to what you can do with these Google VO3 videos. You just need the right prompting, and you need a creative director in the seat directing what the video is going to look like ultimately. But yeah, that's Google VO3 and different things you can do with that as well. So yeah, it's just lots of different things possible with Google VO3 now. But yeah, I could go into a lot more, but I'm all about keeping it simple. I don't want to fire hose too much information. I ultimately want to make it practical. But yeah, if you guys have any questions about any of these AI tools that I showed you, definitely let me know. If I was to guess, Manus, N8N, Claude, and Sequence, those are probably going to be your best friends in terms of daily use AI tools. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, please let me know.